So last week we talked about alternatives to Photoshop, and you gave a really good example. And I talked a little bit about Canva. You were talking about Affinity, and people really appreciated that video. We got a lot of good responses from it. So I said, you know what? We're going to have to jump back into tool time again and look at alternatives to something else, because when the people want something, Ian, we need to deliver. And sometimes even if they don't want something, we still deliver, like the history of John Denver last week.
Of course.
Our best performing short of the week was my brief history on John Denver, which shows how aligned our audience is to a marketing podcast. So
there you go.
Kudos to the algorithms for figuring us out, or not figuring us out. This week, we're going to look at alternatives to Hootsuite. So Hootsuite is an extremely popular tool. It's a very powerful social media management tool. I see that they're integrating some new features into it right now involving being able to monitor conversations, etc. I've used Hootsuite in the past with some of the clients we work with. It's a really popular tool, but I have found that many of our clients find it to be somewhat cost prohibitive, especially if they have larger teams. So I thought we would maybe take a look at some alternatives to Hootsuite for people that are maybe looking for something with maybe a few less features, less money, etc. And I want to talk about two specifically, two that we currently use. One we use on behalf of clients or with clients, another tool we use internally. First one I want to talk about is Loomly. So we've talked about Loomly, I want to say it was probably about 10 episodes ago now. We talked briefly about it, and we discovered Loomly, you and I, Ian, a number of years back on a project, and we were doing just this, looking for an alternative to Hootsuite. They had a larger team, but budgetary constraints prevented them from going to something like a Hootsuite or even a Sprout. And we came across Loomly, and it really kind of fit their needs to a T. And since then, I've got a number of clients that use it. A few things I really like about Loomly, and these are not paid endorsements, by the way. We don't get paid to talk about these tools. Loomly, a really powerful social media scheduling and workflow tool. What really got our attention, and you'll agree with this, Ian, because you were working with me on it, the idea of creating custom workflows was a big thing. So this tool is really popular with clients we have that are in the government space, municipalities, etc., where maybe they have a variety of departments and they want all of those departments to have a seat at the social media table, but don't necessarily want those departments to be able to post directly, but submit their ideas into a workflow system. Those ideas then come to a comms team or a marketing team. They can figure out what works, what doesn't, and then decide where it should go. And there are other tools that do this, but I just really liked Loomly because it kind of gave you a whole variety of options when it came to creating these workflows. So for example, one of the clients we work with, they have a team of communications people, but each communications person aligns with a couple of individual departments. So you can create a workflow where if social media ideas come in from Department A and Department B, they come directly to the person responsible for A and B and not necessarily the whole team. You can have them go to the whole team if you want, but being able to customize a workflow like that was really handy for an organization like a government or municipality. The other one that I think was really cool with this was when we work with municipalities, a lot of times their emergency services team, whether it be fire, police, like bylaw, that kind of thing, they might want to have their own workflow because they might be posting after hours when the comms team isn't around. So you can actually make custom workflows for them where you could have the fire department can post directly on X without any sort of gatekeepers or people to check things. They can post directly there, but maybe would require a comms person to post on Instagram or Facebook. And by creating all those different workflows, you can really maximize the performance of everybody involved while keeping everything secure and safe. So Loomly, a really, really great tool. Customer service-wise, they've been really easy to work with. They're making updates to it all the time, and cost-wise, it's very doable for most teams.
Absolutely, yes. That was one of the things that I was going to mention. If you didn't, that their customer service did impress me when we first started using them. They were very open to suggestions that we'd made or
Yeah.
questions that we had about how to do specific things. And if it couldn't do it, they were saying, okay, we'll put that on the list of things that we'll consider in the future, or things they seemed really receptive to what people actually need. So that's great.
Yeah. High fives, Loomly. High fives. High fives. Second tool I want to talk about is maybe a little bit different than Loomly or Hootsuite or Sprout. Repurpose.io. So you may have seen Repurpose ads on Instagram. That's where I saw them originally. And we actually use Repurpose.io for our podcast. So what I really like about it is it's really good for people that want to repurpose and schedule their content and devise like interesting workflows, etc. So basically the way it works is when you go to set up a workflow, you pick a source and you pick a destination. Now, a source could be Google Drive, it could be your Facebook page, it could be your TikTok account, and then the destination is where that content is going to end up. So when you set these things up, what you can do is not only can you have content get posted regularly through, I put all my videos in Google Drive, they get pulled into Repurpose, I schedule when they should go out, and they go out, very similar to a Hootsuite, for example. But what's really interesting about it is, let's say we set up a workflow where when things get posted over on TikTok, every day it goes and looks at our TikTok, finds the new content that's being posted and pulls it over here. And at 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock, or whatever time you want to set it up every day, it will take one of those videos and put it on our Instagram. So it's not always just pulling from a single destination. You can have those sources show up all over the place. And it really allows you to maximize your content and repurpose your content. If you've got videos and you want to turn them into audiograms, you actually create the template for it, and it can pull a video like a short that you've got on YouTube. It'll pull the audio automatically, put it over top of your template, and then post it wherever you want it to go to. So a little bit different than your traditional put your content into the system, it gets pushed out. This one has that opportunity for different sources and destinations, and that's what makes it really, really unique. And I know for our podcast, obviously it's all video. It's worked out really, really well where we can kind of maximize our time, because we don't have a ton of time to be able to do podcast stuff because we have to do our actual jobs of working at an agency. But it's been really, really handy, really affordable, and customer service wise, they've been excellent too. So that would be a second one that I would recommend. Ian, you probably don't have anything to add because I don't know if you've ever actually seen it in action.
No, I haven't used Repurpose. It does sound like a great tool. I know that you use it a lot, like you say, particularly for the podcasts. But yeah, no, the tools that people are perhaps comparing these against, they're all great. I mean, we're not saying anything against these, but as you mentioned, sometimes they are a bit cost prohibitive, perhaps. So these are just some good options for people, I think.
Good alternatives. So at least do your homework when picking a tool and see which one works best for you. But two more, Loomly and Repurpose.io. Highly recommend. And like I said, we actually use them, so we know how they work, and we did our research when we decided on what we were going to use too. So there we go.